We are ready to roll here on Sharpening the Edge, week number 11 on the screen or through your podcast. It's Lucas Reimink and Dennis Fithian ready to make a bunch of picks. If you're a first-time viewer or listener, welcome in. We pick Michigan, Michigan State, and the Lions, and then each of us have three best bets or locks of the week. Lucas, how'd you do last week? How you doing now?
I'm doing well. Went 4-2 last week, which is always a positive week. It's good to be 4-2, 5-1 is kind of what you're looking for. You're not going to win every bet, obviously. So definitely take 4-2. Happy with that. Brings me to 29 and 26 on the season now. So a few games above 500 there, and I like where I'm at so far. So hopefully we keep chugging along, keep getting farther and farther away from that 500 mark.
Yeah, I stay above 500, but last week I was 500, but it was looking so promising when the Penn State-Ohio State game. I picked the Buckeyes and I picked the under, and so I was out to a 2-0 lead, 2-0 start, but then things crumbled around me. The Lions saved me again, as they have been, so I stay a couple games above 500, and I'm feeling really good about the picks this week. And so let's jump right into it. Michigan is the one that has been perplexing. Of course, I know a lot of people think the same thing. I haven't been able to get them right on I think I've just picked one or two games with Michigan, and that's the team that I follow closely. So I don't know what that says about me or handicapping or anything else. But with all of that being said, Michigan, a big underdog on the road in Bloomington. Are you ready to do what you did last week and go against them again?
I am going to pick against them again. I also picked against Indiana last week, and I was very wrong. Obviously, they played Michigan State there. They started out, they were down 10-0, ended up winning like 42 or 49-10. So not going to pick against the Hoosiers again here. Just don't think Michigan's going to be able to keep up with Indiana. Curtis Rourke is back at quarterback for them. Looked good last week. He looked healthy. I had concerns about him coming back healthily from a finger issue, but now that he's healthy, they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, so they're a tough offense to stop. Then on defense, they get after the passer really well. I do think the secondary can be had a little bit if you can protect Davis Warren. Maybe they'll have a chance to have some success through the air. But I haven't really seen anything from this Michigan offense that makes me think they're going to be able to do that for an entire game. So the 14.5 here just isn't quite enough for me. I have this at 28-13, so barely covering there for Indiana, but it's a cover nonetheless. So I'll take the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I liked Texas to beat Michigan, but I thought the Wolverines with the points there were going to be able to cover. And then I thought the same thing last week. I didn't think Michigan was going to beat Oregon, but I liked the points. And I don't think Michigan's going to win tomorrow, but here I am at broken record time. I'm going to take the 14, thinking that I'm going to be right one of these times, and tomorrow is going to be it. I don't feel great about it. The numbers, if you look at numbers, you're picking Indiana. They should win this game by 25, 30 points. But the schedule there, and you look at it, the teams they played, I don't know, Davis Warren, I'm not really sure what you're going to get there with him making his first road start. In the end, I am going to take Michigan. I think they're just going to squeak in there and cover, but I like Indiana to win it. No Michigan State. They are on a bye, so that takes us to the Lions. I don't know. Lions going 16-1 this year. They're just taking everybody and just tearing them apart. Might have been their most impressive win last week in the rain. Green Bay looked like the team that couldn't handle the elements. Meanwhile, the Lions just pulverize them. The Lions, it's Sunday Night Football. Detroit is a 4-point favorite. Nico Collins could play in this game. He didn't practice all week, and then they just activated him today, which is a little bit weird how they went about that. That would be huge if the Texans were able to get the former Wolverine back. But how do you see this one with the Lions favored by 4?
I'm going to go with the Texans on this one. You're getting a little over a field goal here at home. Sounds like Nico Collins. I don't know. Like you said, he's kind of like 50-50. Hasn't practiced yet this week, but they activated him. So without any practice, to me, that means he's probably not going to play. I have a hard time seeing him being activated when he hasn't played in like 4 or 5 weeks with no practice time. So that means it's going to be a heavy dose of Tank Dell and Joe Mixon. Texans O-line isn't good, so the key to the game for the Lions here is really just to get pressure on C.J. Stroud. Zadarius Smith, obviously the recent acquisition. Not really sure how much help he'll be right away, if he'll be able to pick up Aaron Glenn's scheme in less than a week or not. But I do think the Texans will have enough success through the year to keep it close in this one. I think the Lions win 31-28, but I do have the Texans covering there plus the 4 points.
Yeah, I'm with you. And a lot of it's just the spot here. I think are the Lions going to go 16-1? You start looking at it, they've got a lot of games that they're going to win still. There's the Bills game. Maybe at the end of the year, they don't need to necessarily beat the 49ers because they'll have the number 1 seed wrapped up with 2 weeks to go. That's possible. So I just think this is the spot that they drop a game, and I'm getting 4 points, and I think the Texans are going to win it outright, but I'll take the 4 points, and I'm with you. I'll take the Houston Texans in Sunday Night Football against the Lions. All right, that gets us to our 3 best bets of the week. I'll let you lead off. I love all 3 of my picks. I hope you're not going against. I hope you're not going against any of them. I usually don't do well when that happens, including last week when you took South Carolina. But go ahead. What's best bet number 1?
My first one, I'm going to take the Hawkeyes of Iowa playing UCLA. -6.5 here. If you haven't paid attention to Iowa, they're actually a bit of an offensive wagon. Kind of joking, but kind of not. They have improved a lot on offense this year, particularly their ability to run the football with Caleb Johnson. They actually just benched Caden McNamara last week, and it was kind of a long time coming if you've been watching box scores even or watching the game at all. Brendan Sullivan, is the Northwestern transfer. He came in last week, completed 70% of his passes. Now he only threw 10, completed 7, but still, that's a lot better than what they have been getting at that position. He's kind of a more mobile guy as well. He can move the ball with his legs too. So with Caleb Johnson to hand the ball off to, the quarterback throwing a little bit more efficiently through the air, I have the Hawkeyes winning this one by over a touchdown, so I'll gladly take that as long as it's under that 7. So lay the points with the Hawkeyes 6.5.
All right. On my first pick, I'm going to that Georgia and Ole Miss game. Lane Kiffin's never won a big game in his life. I can't believe that anybody would pick Kiffin in Ole Miss. And Georgia, meanwhile, they've got to win this game or they might be out of the playoffs. And what we've seen from Georgia is they can go on the road like they did at Texas, and they can beat Texas. And they almost damn near came back from being down by whatever it was, 30 points against Alabama. They actually did take the lead in that game. I think Georgia rolls in this game. I'll gladly lay the 2.5 and take the dogs for my best bet number 1. Let's go back to you for pick number 2.
Second pick is actually the same as your first pick. I have the Georgia as well, minus the 2.5. Not scared to lay the points on the road. If you watch either the Georgia game, they're playing Florida, or Ole Miss, they're playing Arkansas. Probably surprised by this pick because Georgia was struggling with Florida early. DJ Lagway got hurt. It kind of just changed the complexion of that game. Looked like it could go either way before that happened, but it was first or second quarter. And after he got hurt, it was kind of like Georgia was just going to win at some point, and everybody kind of knew it. Florida down to the third-string quarterback there at that point. Carson Beck, he's just had the turnover bug lately. He's throwing interceptions left and right. Ole Miss just blew out Arkansas 63-31 last week. But kind of like I'm saying, I just think it all flips back this week. I think Ole Miss is kind of overperforming last week. I think Georgia was underperforming last week. So I think they're going to kind of come to an equilibrium here. I think Ole Miss is one of those teams that they really kill the teams that they're better than. But when they match up with one of the bigger boys, they struggle, kind of like a Penn State. Georgia, still to me, is one of the biggest boys on the block. They've been so the last few years. I think their front seven is going to put a ton of pressure on Jackson Dart. I think they're going to make them a one-dimensional offense. I think it's going to be up to him to be able to carry Ole Miss to a win. I just don't think he's going to be up to the task. I don't think he'll be able to do it. So I'm with you. I'm laying the points with Georgia, even though it's on the road, minus the 2.5. I have this 28-24, so I'll take the Bulldogs there.
Nice pick. Originally, all week long, early in the week, I had Army minus 5.5 at North Texas. Army, all of the numbers, top in the country in yards per attempt with defense, and that's what North Texas with their quarterback. I think he leads the country in touchdowns, but Army was pretty good there. And Army has the number 3 rush rush defense. I liked everything about this game for Army. Everything was in there. How about 104th North Texas and being able to run the ball? I mean, it was everything, but the line has dropped right before we came on here to 2. And so something was suspicious there. And what's suspicious is it looks like the quarterback, Daly, I think his name is, for Army, his status is up in the air. And it looks like Vegas knows a little something here, dropping the line. Now, if he comes back, I'll jump on this game and I will take Army, but I can't take him right now because of all of that I just said. So I went to the pivot, and I have seen Oregon last week, but I've also, this is really a pick against Maryland, who Minnesota put 48 up on. Northwestern put almost 40 points up on Maryland. Oregon, it is at home. You have to lay 23.5, but like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just a matter if Oregon wants to keep scoring. And what I saw last week is they do. So I think that they'll put like 60 points up on Maryland, and they will cruise and be able to cover that spread. So I'll take Oregon minus 23.5 for best bet number 2. Let's go back to you for pick number 3.
Third pick of the weekend. It's probably the biggest game of the weekend, the night game, the SEC. Taking Alabama on the road, going to LSU. I have laying them 2.5 points there. Another road favorite here in the SEC. Pick Georgia and Bama. But those are 2 pretty good teams to bet on if you're interested in this sort of thing, in my opinion. Jalen Milroe has looked healthy, more healthy the last couple of weeks. I think they're going to lean on him a lot to run the ball in this game. LSU is kind of a weird team. They either run really hot or really cold. Sometimes both can happen in the same game. I like Garrett Nussmeier and those wide receivers, but with virtually no ground game to rely on, I think it's just going to be tough to have a lot of balance against Alabama's defense. Alabama's defense, if they can just pin their ears back and just get after the quarterback, worry about picking off the balls that Nussmeier is going to throw, I think there's a good chance he's going to throw some ill-advised passes, maybe turn the ball over once or twice. I have the Crimson Tide going into Death Valley at night, winning this game 34-28. So I'll gladly lay that 2.5 there with the Crimson Tide.
Well, this has never happened, but I'm right with you. I'm going to the Crimson Tide as well. You know, Marcel Reed came in for Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, and LSU was handling Texas A&M, but Reed's a mobile quarterback, and he ran all over them. And I don't know, they feel like they got a good grasp on it because Milroe is like a souped-up version of Reed. So I don't like that. You already mentioned that LSU can't run the ball. They're totally one-dimensional. They're the worst rushing attack in the SEC. So one-dimensional teams. Their defense is spotty. We just documented here. This points to Alabama to me. I'm not scared to lay in the 2.5. I'll take Bama as well. So we both like Bama and Georgia. I'm going with the big number in Oregon. You're staying in the Big Ten as well, and you're taking Iowa minus 6.5 against UCLA. Great job. And we're both in lockstep. The only game we disagree on is the points with Michigan. So there you go. So good luck to you, Lucas. And we look forward to talking with you next week.
Yeah, next week we'll either both be really happy or both be really sad. We're in pretty much the same boat here. So hopefully we're both really happy. Won a lot of picks this week.
Let's do it. Good luck. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button.